Hi there. Before you jump into this episode, we want to make sure our listeners know about the How Do You Drew Patreon page, where we release exclusive content for our members.
We've shared unedited video versions of podcast episodes, rare Drew Barrymore photos from our digital archives, movie commentaries, and so much more.
We're currently working through a deep dive of each chapter of Little Girl Lost, which, if you don't know, is Drew's out-of-print autobiography released when she was only a teenager. And it's been really good stuff, you guys.
There's already plenty of content to dig into and lots more to come. So join now for as little as $1 a month and support us at How Do You Drew.
Yeah, go to patreon.com/howdoyoudrew to join today. Thank you.
Enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to How Do You Drew?
This is a Drew Barrymore podcast brought to you by thedrewseum.com.
And sponsored by our friends at Positive Medium.
I'm Anne.
And I'm Ashley.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
You're okay now that you're here with me.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about this episode. It's been cooking in my brain for quite a while.
Yes, it has. You just came up with this fun topic. Fun? Is that what we want to call it?
Sad.
Before we get into this very, very sad topic, let's go over some stuff at the top.
Yeah, shoot. We got a bunch. All right. This is a cosmic coincidence that I freaking love.
Hey, yeah. Yeah.
Last episode, right? I think it was our last episode. We were talking about, because we were talking about our favorite episodes from year 2 of the podcast. Mm-hmm. And we both picked our episode 69, which was about Drew's former Los Angeles home. Mm-hmm. We were talking about how you could see our photos on the walls and just, going on and on.
And holy shit. And yes.
When I say our photos on the walls, that sounds like she had pictures of us up. That's not accurate.
She probably does, but they took those down for the magazine. Wait, I said magazine. I said it.
Oh, spoiling.
Yeah. So the cosmic coincidence part. Yeah. So the next day after we recorded this, our issues of Drew Mag came in the mail. And I wasn't really looking through it. I sent you a picture of the cover and was like, oh my God, it's here. And then flipped it open and saw.
Oh, right to the page?
Yes. So I flipped it open, pictures of her LA home. I forget what the title of the feature is, but it's something really
I think it's Love Letter to Los Angeles or something like that.
Right.
But it's really not about LA. It's about her house, her Kirsten Terrace house that we love so much and gave such this huge dedicated episode.
We wrote a love letter to it.
We did. I know it feels that way.
Yeah.
And there were all again photos taken by Roger Davies, who put out that book that also features the house. Mm-hmm. But only one of these photos out of, I think it's a 10-page feature. Only one we had seen before from his book. Yes. The rest were all new to us.
And it almost seemed, I didn't realize that they were from the same photographer, but it felt like a lot of those pictures were the house as it was lived in also. It felt a little bit more personal than some of the ones that were printed in the book, right?
I was going to say that. I think they were the more personal photos because it was Drew's bedroom and Olive's bedroom and the girls' play area. And definitely, I think probably intentionally, he left those out of his book to do more of the depersonalized pictures. Mm-hmm. But wow.
Let's just take a second to say again, our things that we gave to Drew were printed in an issue of Drew magazine.
Yeah. Wow.
And not it says from the girls at the Drewseum. We know this. Our followers know it.
But it does say cherished family photos. So,
we just happened to, help her get some of those cherished family photos in her hands.
So cool.
So cool. So that was rad. We were both reeling about that for a bit.
Amazing.
Yeah, so let's just really quickly plug that we are releasing our Patreon Little Girl Lost Chapter 7, now. I just finished editing it. Yeah. So it is being released now. So if you're hearing this, it's out. If you're a Patreon person, Yeah, you know what to do. You know where to go. If you're not,
Patreon.com/howdoyoudrew.
what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, guys. Oh man, chapter 7. It's called More, More, More. And I wrote here, it's a doozy or a droozy. But oh man, I'm angry in this episode. Like I was fired up because it's just like
there's a lot. Okay, so yeah, so that chapter is really kind of a lesson in how adults are not perfect, and neither are children, and neither person seemed to know what to do in these moments. And it's very scary, and we're glad that Drew came out of this relatively unscathed.
seriously. And weirdly enough, also in Drew magazine, I pulled this for our next Little Girl Last episode, but she starts off her like kind of, letter from the editor, like essay that she did, specifically talking about how she didn't have boundaries as a kid and how it screwed her up. And like, I'm like, that's everything we're talking about over there, Drew. Yeah. Are you a secret Patreon member?
Either that or we are in her brain.
Well, that's probably more likely.
And that's why we're a little confused about why we know so much about her life.
So get over there if you haven't already. And then the last thing I want to plug is that we have a new page on the drewseum.com of Drew's book recommendations. So I just started realizing like, gosh, she's always saying, I'm reading this book or you should read this book. And she's been a voracious reader her entire life. And it's how she like kind of justified to herself, like, if I'm not going to go to school, I'm at least going to do this.
Yes.
So yeah, I started compiling some lists. It was a lot more work than I think I realized it would be.
I love you as like the bookworm yourself. You're just like, yeah, I want to know all the books she's mentioned. And I'm like, that sounds like a lot, Ashley. That sounds like a lot.
I'm sure it's not even close to being complete, but it's a good start, and we'll definitely add to it as things come along. So if you guys want to check that out, it's thedrewseum.com/bookrecs.
Woo, thank you, Ashley. That's a really like fun little, we have lots of like fun little pages on our site, like lots of nuggets.
And the funny thing is when we first opened the site, it was strictly our collections. We didn't have any like biographical info about Drew. We're like, filmography, everybody does that. Yeah. But now it's become a like great spot to just learn about like A to Z about Drew. So this is just filling in another one of those little cool things.
It's a little new exhibit at the Drewseum.
I love that.
We got to make more exhibits. If you guys have any ideas for exhibits, let us know. All right. So speaking of little tidbits.
I love love.
What did Drew proclaim her love for this week?
Okay, so I got a couple because the newest issue of Drew Mag, which we are going to talk about, had a few. So I noted that she loves tracking the moon cycles.
I like that.
A good sunscreen stick. And also a good pencil.
Oh, I'm really passionate about a good pencil. Are you a pencil person, Ashley?
I am a pen person.
So it's funny. I have a mechanical pencil right here, just a cheap one. Yeah. But sometimes just these like cheap pencils. I have a really cool one downstairs that I just ran out of the right size like pencil lead for it, and I'm like, damn it! It's like one of my favorites in my hand. As a pen, I'm a pencil person because of museum work, though, because you usually can't bring pens into those spaces.
Oh, that's cool to know.
Anyway, a good pencil. Yeah, so I am very passionate about pencils as well, Drew.
I am also like psycho about having like good ink in a pen. If a pen doesn't have good ink, I'm like, I hate this thing. Throw it across the room.
I think that's one reason why a pencil's so nice, because as long as it has lead, it's going to write.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate a really good pen. That's, I could just sit and like test pens and pencils all day and definitely have like strong opinions about all of them.
Totally. This is why we get along.
Yes, exactly. Our strong opinions about the things that we like. Okay, so what else did you pull?
So I also just randomly, every once in a while, I'm like, let's check out YouTube. Can I find anything? It is a freaking cesspool of crap over there these days. Like, forget search. Search sucks.
Are you able to like put in like newly uploaded at least?
Yes, but there's all these like weird AI things that are up there now. Yeah. I mean, just crap upon crap. But every once in a while, I'm like, just go through the crap for a minute, see if you find anything cool. Yeah. And I did. So when Drew was on Conan O'Brien in 2005, that Conan's like official account put this up. So that's cool. Kind of like how Rosie's account, Rosie O'Donnell's putting up like old ones. So it's like really nice quality. And it's a really cute one. If you remember, she does like charades where she puppets him. Do you remember this? And she's trying to do traffic cop, and she's trying to do like a whistle to his mouth, and he's like making weird puppet faces.
I think I do remember the puppeting because she's so small and he's so tall.
Yes, she has to like stand on a chair behind him.
I have 30 seconds to guess what it is. Come over here.
Okay. I don't know what I honestly have no idea.
You're going to be really fun to puppet because you're twice my size.
Okay. Oh, I like this.
Okay.
It's a good game. I don't care what the point of this is anymore.
This is so silly. Okay. I don't remember that as well as I would like to say I had. So what things did she proclaim her love for on this episode of Conan O'Brien from 2005?
Okay. Well, I thought this was funny because she says, I love affection. I love hugging. Because Conan points out, hey, you're like one of the most affectionate guests that we have, and you're very touchy. And I'm like, oh, this is so funny because people act like this is this like big stupid thing she does on her show, right? She gets too close and she's too in people's spaces. I'm like, okay, so 20 years ago, she's saying basically the same thing is happening. Like, it's just who she is.
That is so funny. And I love that it's always like she's just the same person. Like you just said, it's just who she is.
Yeah. And then finally, she also said in that appearance that she loves the game Cranium. I'm pretty sure I found out about that game from this.
Well, here's a funny thing. Fun fact. Cranium was the first product that Starbucks sold after coffee.
Whoa, that's a really fun fact.
I haven't played that game in a really long time, but I do remember loving it.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. Like you get hysterically, everything's just hilarious on it.
You know, new dream unlocked is playing board games with Drew.
Oh, imagine. I can totally imagine. It feels very natural. Let's make this happen.
I want that to happen
okay, that's on our goal list.
Yes, immediately. Okay. So, what else?
You've got mail.
Tell me about our mail.
We have a couple little things I felt worth mentioning. So our friend Kat, who is, I'm pretty sure she's a Patreon member, and she's just a very good supporter.
Yeah.
She sent a little message about our Poison Ivy episode, which I still feel really proud of, and I'm still so glad that we covered that.
Oh, and I'm glad that people are still discovering it. You know, I had this before I get into this. I realized recently, like about our Patreon and stuff like this, like people will keep discovering it.
Yes,
and I hope they do.
It is cool. Like we're setting up this sort of like
there's this backlog.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. Anyway, so Kat, our Poison Ivy episode said, finally getting around to letting you know my thoughts on the episode. I absolutely adored it. You ladies did it justice, as with every episode you do. I might go back and listen again.
Oh, thank you. But doing it justice is so important to us. Mm-hmm. So that's really feels really validating to hear that.
Yes. Thank you. We love that people are appreciating it. Like, I still think in some ways we're just doing this for us.
Yeah, totally.
So thank you.
But here's more proof that that's not the case, because at Luana Lima, I hope I said that correctly, on Instagram, she's kind of a new follower of ours, but she has a lot of really nice things to say. She's from Brazil, and she specifically said that our episodes being up on YouTube is super helpful to her because they have automatic subtitles. So it's easier for her to follow along. Yeah.
That's
so if anyone doesn't know that, go check that out.
Okay. So she said on Instagram, thank you, girls. Your work and dedication are beautiful. May each day bring more opportunities to spread more of that beautiful feeling called Drew Barrymore.
How poetically lovely is that?
I love it.
That beautiful feeling, Drew.
She is a beautiful light. Drew.
Yeah. Thanks, Luana.
Yes, thank you so much. More stuff from the internet. What did you pull for this kind comments corner?
All right, I got a unique one.
Okay.
So I have like an alert for any podcasts that talk about Drew, and most of them I skip over because most of them are stupid. But so there's this host, Laura Tremaine, who has a show called 10 Things to Tell You. Mm-hmm. And she had a little anecdote that she shared about seeing Drew at McGee's Christmas party in 2001. So I just love the setting here.
That's so fun.
So I was like, we got to listen. So here's what she had to say.
Okay. So she said, in comes the most beautiful person I've almost ever seen in real life. Just stunningly gorgeous, Drew Barrymore. I was looking at this girl and was just so shocked at how effervescent she was. Like she just lit up the whole room. It was a lesson to me in star quality, that quote, it, unquote thing. I felt like that was the first time that I felt it so deeply. Like she just has an aura. She just filled up the room in a totally different way.
Isn't that cool?
It is cool because we've experienced that.
Yeah. And I should have set the scene better. She tells how like they're in like, I think it was Mick G's office is where the party is. And there's like this little sort of balcony, sort of like quasi balcony where people were outside smoking, but you had to like go through a window. And she said like Drew crawled in from the window from outside and just was like, whoa.
Oh my God. Cute. I always wonder though, that feeling we have around her, of course, with us and with a lot of people, it's like, that's Drew.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's that feeling of it is the star quality, but it's also like she lives up to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we don't have to analyze why Drew is so lovely. She just is. I love how they say effervescent. That's such a cool word.
Yeah. That's my favorite word.
Is it?
Yeah.
No wonder you pulled it. Yeah, I love it. Awesome. That was a great pull. I'm glad that you went through and listened to the podcasts that sometimes sound great.
Sometimes it pays off. That's how I found Movies That Made Us Gay, because I kept seeing it come up in my alerts that they were doing Ever After. And I was like, the name of their podcast is so fun. I was just like, I should check this out.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yay, Movies That Made Us Gay. Little shout out. Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit. Tell me about this week in Drew history.
I picked this one specially for you. I thought you would like this. September 4th, 1996. Drew attended the opening gala for the Los Angeles Opera's 11th season at the Los Angeles Music Center. Placido Domingo was performing.
Okay.
But notably, this was her first red carpet appearance with Luke Wilson, but they'd probably been together for a few months at this point. The timeline's a little murky because she's like with Eric Erlandson, and then all of a sudden she's with Luke. So it's hard to say when.
Yeah, and this is the black hair. So of course, this is why you were, you had me in mind when you found it.
Yeah.
I'm curious if like one of the reasons they didn't kind of do public stuff, they were like filming, right? For a lot
they were
of
filming, exactly. Yeah. And she definitely kind of kept him under wraps for a little bit. Like if you remember when she was promoting Scream, she's like, I have a boyfriend, but I'm not going to say who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it was like, because he seems like a very private guy. We've noted before he hasn't been on her show. So anyway.
Yet.
Yeah. That would be amazing. I really want to see them interact.
I feel like it's coming. I feel good about it.
I mean, we'll talk about her show a little bit more in a minute. But yeah, I just want to celebrate this look really quick. The black hair, this yellow dress. I'm like not huge on yellow. We know Drew like loves yellow. But this is like unique.
It is. I was going to say it's kind of a unique shade of yellow, maybe because it's so shimmery. I don't know. It's almost gold in a way.
Yeah. It's so pretty. She looks amazing. Dark lip, dark hair, but her hair is in an updo. Also, she's got a shell bracelet, which I think, necklace. I was wondering if the shell bracelet was there too, but was that
thought the shell bracelet was at first, but no, that's a couple months later.
Is that Everyone Says I Love You premiere?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
I did the same thing.
That's so funny. I think we've done that for a history, or maybe I'm just thinking of when we've done.
No, we have. It was our first one ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Anyway, so she's got this necklace on that I think for a long time, it just looks like a white disc. And we had a particular picture I think we saved where you could really see the texture and that it's a sand dollar.
I think it's a sand dollar too. I was again questioning.
No, I'm like 99% sure. I feel like we had one picture that's like kind of a weird close up on her face.
I know
like
the one.
You can see the necklace is like sideways, I think. Anyway, great pull. I adore this look. She looks so happy.
Yeah, she's with her new man on the red carpet, and she's chewing gum, which I just love.
I didn't really get a chance to say it, but when we were looking really briefly at that Conan appearance from 2005, I was like, oh, I love her hair that color, which I don't usually think of the dark brown as being anything super special. But seeing that clip from 2005 made me appreciate it in a different way. Maybe like
that particular one, like she just looked gorgeous. We'll link to that on the episode page if you guys want to see it.
It might be one of those things where we like, because 2005 still feels like quote unquote recent, like we might need to revisit the things from 19, 20 years ago and have a newfound love for them. So yes, 1996 Drew, I will always love and do love, but there was something really neat about seeing the 2005 dark-haired Drew.
Oh.
Okay, so now let's get into what's new with Drew.
You want to hit the headlines?
As we teased already quite a few times, the new Drew magazine, Fall 2024, is out. It came to our mailboxes. Somehow, Anne and I are the first people on the planet to ever get it. Like weeks before their social medias even talk about it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, when are they going to figure out we're getting ours too early and make it stop?
I don't want it to stop. I love it. So you noted the cover photo and the pictures inside are outtakes from that And Me supplement shoot. You called that Right Away.
Yeah.
Which was shot by Landon McMahon. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that silky shirt. I like pictured it from the so many videos.
With her holding the supplement.
Yes. I haven't gone through it because I'm a weirdo and I just let it sit there. Though I did find it in a store and I bought another copy. So
hey, what store?
I think I found it at Walmart.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Yeah. And like I said, this essay that she writes, it's really about keeping her daughters safe on phones or the internet and kind of relating it to her experience being in the public eye as a child, like, and having too much access. She's like, now my kids, all kids have too much access. And it's very interesting. There's actually one thing she says in there that I was like, oh my God. And I should have it in front of me to quote it perfectly. But she says like, that as a child with too much access, she witnessed things in places, but also in her own home that like, basically she sort of like is comparing it to pornography. So I was just like, oh my God, it just gives me another layer of like, oh, I'm so depressed about her childhood,
Yeah. I do want to read that just to have more reason to love Drew for all the stuff that she's, I don't know.
Overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how she's taking this and trying to apply it to being like the best parent possible for her kids and keeping them safe. I don't know. It's really touching. Yeah.
She comes from such a like rich past of parental issues. We will get into more of that in a little bit.
That's a good little segue. Not quite, but we're almost there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple more updates.
Yeah, we got a little more info on Demi Lovato's documentary, which again is called Child Star, and it will be on Hulu September 17th. And I found from the Hollywood Reporter a little snippet about Drew's part. So it says, it was Barrymore, in many ways the poster kid of child stardom, having made E.T. at 6, who gave the doc the credibility that Lovato felt it needed. She had interviewed Barrymore a few years earlier for a podcast that she was doing at the time. And this conversation picked up where that one left off. They discuss how they both craved boundaries that didn't exist in their childhoods, once again, and then swapped stories about their frighteningly early dalliances with drugs and alcohol. So I can't wait for this.
This is going to be cool. So I do remember loving that podcast that she did with Demi Lovato.
Very much so, yeah. And this is, again, going to be like, here we are again, revisiting the same themes. Like, it's just so interesting doing this work. But it's like, we're looking at such old texts. Little Girl Lost is 30 years ago.
We're looking at the source texts.
But then we're like brand new stuff. It's like coming and they all overlap. I just love doing this so much.
Just so lucky that she is still out there, still talking, still alive. Let's be fair.
Yeah, truly.
That she can talk about this stuff. We are just so lucky that she's able, willing, has the platform, all that stuff. Speaking of Drew having platforms, she has another show. We've talked about this, but Hollywood Squares, which she's hosting, correct?
No, she's center square. So that means she's like the featured Hollywood Square.
I can't wait to see. So it started to film in LA a couple weeks ago.
I think it's done. It is because she posted that's a wrap. I think it was literally a week. And that was it. So
and they
probably
just do like the
filmed
whole season.
a bunch. Yeah, every day. And the guests are crazy. I was actually like, okay, like this is going to be cool. There's some really funny people that I think we both like. I just wrote down every single person I noticed, like their name in the background, or I could see them over here in a video someone posted.
Yeah, let's just pick out a few that we're excited about. You go ahead and pick a couple that you're excited about, and I'll pick a couple.
I was definitely excited to see Melanie Linsky because love her and love a little reunion of theirs always.
Yeah.
June Diane Raphael, who I love and is hilarious.
Love her. I've seen her do a couple of her podcasts live.
That's right. So jealous.
Yeah.
And she's in one scene of Going the Distance. Did you remember that?
I forgot that.
Yeah.
But she's hilarious.
Actually, the next person on the list is also in Going the Distance in one scene.
That's funny.
Kristen Shaw. She's like in the scene where they meet. She's like the bartender doing the trivia.
Yes. So I'll just list a couple I'm excited about. These are all great. Tig Notaro, I love. I'm really excited about that. I mean, Tom Lennon. I'm seeing him and going like, hell yeah.
Yes, I love him.
The list is long. I think it'll be kind of interesting to see Jay Leno, just because we've seen her like at the show so many times. And
I thought that too.
But yeah, this is cool. When do they actually start to show it? Next year.
I feel like they said January. Yes, we got a while. So you guys are getting a little sneak preview of all the info that we've compiled. And we'll just see what happens.
I feel like you said something like people were kind of freely posting about this on the internet. Like, so it wasn't like secret. So it seems like there's, a lot out there about the filming already.
Yeah. Even Entertainment Tonight did like a quick little interview with her on the set. And we're going to talk about that in a second.
Okay, cool. So then let's talk a little bit more about the Drew Barrymore show.
That other platform.
So season 5 will premiere September 9th. That's like in no time. It's just over a week. Like, oh my gosh. It'll be out by the time the next episode's out. Not this one, but the one after that.
We're going to have so much more material.
Oh my God. Crazy. Okay, so there's a new promo photo they released, just fully yellow. It's so cute. Yeah, yellow curtain, yellow desk, yellow suit, yellow
almost
shoes.
Like a bowl of mac and cheese. It's that kind of shade of yellow.
It is mac and cheese yellow. This is American cheese. This is Kraft cheese. Kraft dinner if you're Canadian.
Oh
Kraft dinner colored promo. It's great though. The yellow has just become more and more the theme for her.
Yeah,
I feel
it's so cute. It's very sweet.
So cute. I don't know how she can pull this off, Drew. In a pool of yellow, in a pool of mac and cheese. So cute. So cool also that we found out that they're already renewed for the following season as well.
Yeah, which is really unusual. Like this is the first time it's happened that quickly. So of course everybody's thrilled. And Wendy McMahon, who's like president and CEO of a bunch of stuff over at CBS, she said, Drew is a one-of-a-kind talent who is an integral part of the CBS and Paramount family. This early renewal is a testament to our commitment to the Drew Barrymore Show and its loyal audience who tune in every day to see Drew's warmth, inquisitiveness, and spontaneity.
Oh, yay.
That's sweet, huh?
That's so kind. I mean, I know Drew has this is like probably something that she's found more rewarding than any other job. And I know she says that. So to have people responding in this way, that's so cool.
Yeah. And just probably to know like, okay, we've got another year, like we're in more time. 2 years, like for sure happening. Like
exactly. Wow. That's cool. Do we want to play any of this little tiny clip from Entertainment Tonight?
Sure.
Okay.
We got a 2-year pickup, our very first. Oh, I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I'll try to practice physical distance, which is not my strong point.
Never. That's my favorite part.
Do you know how hard the pandemic was for me? I was alone in a studio by myself.
That was really cute. I haven't looked at a lot of, this is just back to the Hollywood Squares thing. Are there a bunch of pictures of like a bunch of different outfits she's worn available online too?
Yeah, I've noticed like 6 different looks. In fact, a lot of what she's recently posted on her Instagram where she's like in a trailer. Yeah, it's from the set. Yeah.
Okay.
And our lovely friend Deb Ferrulo is doing her makeup for that. So that's fun. Yay. I was hoping since she was in LA. Deb posted something and I was like, we were hoping it was you.
Yay, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Hey Drewbies. We are here to tell you about our website hosts,
Positive Medium, and they sponsor the podcast. We've been clients of theirs for over 10 years, and we use them for all our website needs on thedrewseum.com.
Their services include customized web design, professional coding, search engine optimization and marketing, plus hosting, which has been huge for us for many years.
Plus, their incredible customer service has been one of our favorite features. They've literally saved our site quite a few times, and they always help with minor troubleshooting in a matter of minutes. So whether that's coding issues or back-end questions, etc., we reach out, we get help immediately, which is just invaluable.
Lucky you. To our listeners, Positive Medium is offering 25% off any managed WordPress hosting plan using our promo code DREW. That's DREW. Visit our friends over at positivemedium.com. Thank you. Okay, so let's get into this weekly topic. We've sort of teased it a bit. It's about Drew's lack of parents in film, or her parentless characters, as you may call them.
Or in her real life, even. It's all kind of related.
Yes, and you got this idea from the MTV movie special. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, funnily enough, like way before it was on YouTube. So like months and months and months ago, there's a part where the interviewer, Chris Connelly, he points out this reoccurring theme to Drew and like blows her mind. And let's just play it.
A lot of these strong characters you've played are strong maybe because they don't have parents in their lives. Just, I was making a list and there are quite a few like that.
I had a good mom in The Wedding Singer, although she was kind of pushing me to marry the bad guy. But yeah, you're right. There's always been a lack of parents in my film. I never thought about that. I just want you to know you're going to make me obsessed for the next few weeks.
Well, rightly or wrongly, you're seen as someone who formed herself as she exists now, pretty much without the help of, parental units that we normally think of.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah.
I remember the yeah.
Yeah, she's like really like, mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that formed herself, and that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just fascinated by that, and I'm like, oh, that'd be such a fun topic because he doesn't list them, but we can list them.
Yes.
And, it's also, like I said, related to her real life, forming herself without parents.
Absolutely, which she has literally described herself as.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a quote from Us magazine from 1997. Sometimes Barrymore will let slip a phrase like, "I say to all my fellow orphans," a phrase that might lead one to believe she has no living parents. And surely that is sometimes how it feels to her. So basically, like she self-describes as an orphan.
Yeah. In 1997, the interview with Barbara Walters touched on this, which we can play.
The bottom line, though, Drew, is that in your life now as a young woman, you have neither a father nor a mother.
No.
In that sense, you're an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
Hard.
It hurts sometimes. I remember when I was younger, I used to wonder at Christmas time, did bad kids have no parents and good kids had parents? And the day that I questioned that, which was the very first time I got my answer that day, which was no, I've never been so able to have freedom actually since that point, because I realized there's so many of us who are orphans, whether we have single parents or no parents, and as long as we have people around us that can nurture us and take care of us, that's all you need.
Aww.
It almost made me cry.
I mean, she's getting a little choked up there. But of course, it's Barbara Walters that got her to that point. That's classic.
Also in 2004, she told Harper's Bazaar, "I always get neurotic around the holidays because I feel like an orphan." So this is
consistent.
She's just referred to herself as an orphan so much in her life.
Yeah. She has said, we talk about this a lot, she's very hard on herself for not doing a job raising herself, which is very sad. Here's some examples. So in People this year, she said, "I really parented myself, so I'm not mad at my mom and dad. I was more disappointed in my own parenting."
I know. True. No.
Yeah.
And then also in Us this year, she said, "I'm only figuring out in the last 5 years how insanely unforgiving I've been to myself in my life. Probably the most unhealthy thing I've ever done is my self-talk. In most ways, I had to parent myself. So when I'm worried about how I'm raising my kids, I don't have fault with my parents. I have fault with myself. That's a jumping off point for self-criticism. So at least in this one, she had like a little awareness, like you don't have to blame yourself for how you parented yourself at 14, like, but she does.
Yes. So she talked about her own experience as a mom. So this is important, of course, because how could she not apply all of this that she's gone through to her parenting?
Right. And she's trying to recreate like a better experience for them.
Well, to build something that she didn't have.
Yeah.
So she said to Allure in 2013, I do obsessively create families and enjoy them and take such pride in them. And now I actually have a real legal blood family, and it's the coolest. It feels very much like all the things I've put an effort in along the way, which is to try and make something that's stable and happy and functions well. I'm finally part of a family, and it's a miracle.
Oh. But then, of course, like that was sort of including her marriage to Will at the time. In People 2023, she said, a friend said to me, divorce is the death of a dream. That's exactly what it feels like. Something so final, you can't get it back. Then it says, since she didn't grow up with a family, she vowed her kids would. I know what that feels like. If I haven't learned from that, then what was it all for? This is a family, so nobody's going anywhere. I was determined to make it work because we all loved each other so much. So even though they divorced and they're not like that dream that she had of giving her kids this perfect little family, they've like kind of just shuffled it around and made it work in a different way, which is really cool.
That is cool. God, she's Drew and her family and family life and all of that.
I know. Like you can just imagine. I don't even know if it was so much like about the splitting from Will,
right?
As much as like giving her kids this, like what she always wanted, which were parents together.
And assuming that she'd have power to make all of that perfect. I think that's the other thing that's so hard. So you pulled this clip from the Drew Barrymore show of Arthur Brooks talking to her about her own parenting from this year. So let's listen to this.
You also suffered and struggled a lot in ways that your kids won't. And part of it is because your kids have a different childhood than you did. And it's worth keeping in mind that they're going to have a different childhood than you because of you. Because of you. Your kids are not growing up with your parents. They're growing up with you, and you have a choice. The things that weren't good about your childhood, the struggles and the suffering that you had as a child, you can edit that in your own parenting.
That one got me.
It's giving her power back, I guess.
Yeah. And I think he's just also trying to be like, you don't have to worry so much about them. They're not going to have your experience. Like
that too.
You're a better parent than what you had.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. So now should we get into the whole reason we're doing this? Go through her films and her lack of parents and how it manifests in each of these films?
Yeah. And it's just like, is this like art imitating life, vice versa? Why does this happen to come up so frequently in her movies? I would love to know if there's some like, you know, subconscious attraction she's had to these roles, or, I mean, some of them are when she's so young. How could she have really been thinking about it? But maybe, I don't know. It's really interesting. It's pretty fascinating how many of these there are.
I mean, is it just a coincidence that Drew ended up in these roles? Is like that fact about the character something that made it attractive to Drew? Is that why she was so good at it? Yeah, it's all of this is really interesting.
Exactly.
So yeah, believe it or not, we're starting at E.T.
Right off the bat.
Yes. So in that film, we have Dee Wallace playing her single and very distracted mom. You pointed out she doesn't even notice when Gertie has E.T. in the living room, which is true. Like E.T. is just like hiding in the house for a while.
Just walking around and the mom's just like on the phone, like opening the fridge and doesn't even see it. And she's like, he can talk, mama. She's like, sure. Yeah, whatever.
Sure, honey. The dad is completely absent from their lives, but there's a mention of him very briefly that he's off with his new girlfriend.
Dad would believe me.
Maybe you ought to call your father and tell him about it.
I can't. He's in Mexico with Sally. Mexico?
Oh, I know, she's so sweet.
I always laugh at the little "Where's Mexico?" but in this context, yeah, that's not funny.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's probably in the movie, it's probably supposed to be more about Elliot, not having his dad there. I think that's more the story, but like,
of course,
Gertie's right there too. So like Drew's first major role, that's what's going on. She's only got her mom, which is like exactly what her life was at that time.
Yep. Yeah, and like you said, she wouldn't have probably been conscious of the fact that this character at that age also didn't have her dad around, but either way, fascinating.
She was probably just like, well, that's normal.
I understand that. I get this character.
Yeah.
Okay, so not soon after, Irreconcilable Differences, which right in the title, we're talking about parents who are in the process of a divorce.
Well, they're already divorced.
Oh.
The movie, you're doing what Drew did, where she forgot.
I am.
The movie is about that both of these parents are so awful and neglectful to their little daughter that her character is divorcing them. They're taking them to court, and so that she can be raised by, I think it's their housekeeper. It's been a while since I watched it. Like, that's how bad these people are.
Yes, so I did exactly what Drew did. Should we watch this little clip?
Get your tissues ready, because this one is really upsetting.
Okay.
I'd like to be honest with you, okay?
Okay.
The reason I went to a lawyer to divorce my parents is because I can't take living with either one of them anymore. And please don't switch custody around or anything, because that won't help. I want you to know, I don't expect my mom to be a person who vacuums all day, bakes cookies for me when I get home from school. And I don't expect my dad to be some kind of real understanding person who puts me on his knee and wants to take me fishing all the time. But my mom and dad are just too mixed up for anybody to be around.
You can imagine she talked about it. We actually mentioned this on one of our episodes, that she talked about it recently. Ross had asked her, like, have you ever brought your own personal life into a role? And this is the example she gave. Like, she knows what that feels like.
Yeah. Even though, again, like, I have my moment where I'm just like, oh, little Drew, like making her serious faces and I want to giggle. This is a different take on these things. Like we would have talked about these same moments for different reasons. And now we're going, oh, yes, that's the character, but that's also Drew.
Yeah. Ugh.
Okay, so should we talk about another one where she's just a little kid?
I mean, these are literally her first 3 major film roles. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes. So in Firestarter, the mom dies at the beginning, and the dad dies at the end.
Yeah. Even though he's great when he's there, but she doesn't get to keep him around.
Yeah.
For you, Daddy. Yeah, it's like implied at the end that she goes off to live with that older couple who sort of helped them on their escape from.
Oh, that's right.
And it's just like by herself. She just has to get there. And
can you remind me how the mom dies?
The shop. That's like what the bad guys are called. The like place where the scientists are or whatever. They kill her. Like they get into the house. Like he comes home
because they're looking for her.
And Charlie isn't there. Yeah, they're trying to get to.
That's why she feels responsible.
Charlie and her dad. Yeah.
That movie is just a whole like traumatic childhood personification.
It really is.
Oh my God.
And again, it's like, especially just Irreconcilable Differences in Firestarter. Like you can see little Drew reading these scripts or having them read to her and being like, yeah, I can do that. I can relate to that. I want to go blow up people with my mind because my parents suck.
Yes.
We should also quickly mention Babes in Toyland because I think it counts because there's no dad.
Yeah.
And the mom is like totally scatterbrained and like all over the place. And the whole storyline is that Drew's character is basically taking on the parental role in this family, in this household, and that she needs to learn how to be a child. If you haven't listened to our Babes in Toyland episode from last December, it's pretty fun.
Please do. We had fun doing that. Yeah, even though that's a weird movie, there's still this parent thing. It's like the origin story of these characters. Poison Ivy.
Of course.
Which we also did such a extensive episode about. And, you know, we just had someone write in a comment about it. Her parents treated her terribly. She talks about it a couple times. The mom is dead and she lives with an aunt. The whole movie is literally about her trying to take over this other family that she perceives as perfect.
Yeah.
So let's just hear a little bit of quote unquote Ivy, not even her name, talking about her parents.
My dad didn't want me anywhere around. He gets so pissed if you tried to talk to him. He'd throw stuff at me like food or spitballs.
Lovely. Again, relatable to real Drew, right?
Yep. Now let's hear about Mom.
Well, my mom died in her 40s. But she was dead way before that. She only pretended to be alive. She was so coked out all the time, looking out windows. Every shadow was a cop or a dealer she owed. She was always asking if I heard noises. And she flinched every time I touched her. Even for a hug.
Not great memories for this woman who ends up kind of going nuts and killing people and then dying herself.
Yeah. I almost feel like this is the like best example in a way, because like she's like old enough to be on her own, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's not a little kid in this one, even though she's a child technically, but
Yeah.
she is pretty much on her own. Like this aunt just like gets money for her to live there. She clearly doesn't spend any time there. She basically
Yeah.
moves in with this family instantly
Yep.
and isn't missed.
This was Ivy's attempt to create her own family, which is something
Yes.
Drew has done successfully in much less evil ways.
Much less evil. Yeah. And that becomes also a reoccurring theme in these movies as we get along here.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Gun Crazy next. And the dad is not in the picture at all. I don't remember if he's even like mentioned. The mom is just like gone. Like she just took off and she leaves Drew's character alone with this like abusive stepfather, which is like sexually abusive, disgusting. And the mom's just like not around.
Your mom called this morning.
What'd she say?
She said hi.
That's it? She didn't have anything else to say to me?
She just said she was having some hassle with the law over in Fresno.
So yeah, no relationship there, clearly.
Yeah. And like has abandoned her. And I think that makes a lot of sense why this character then gets a pen pal from prison who she decides to like go on the run with. Like she's kind of trying to form her own bonds, you know?
Okay. So then we have No Place to Hide, another weird movie. I think I haven't seen this movie more than once, I don't think.
Oh, me neither. One time, but I was like, this fits because from what I recall, if we're getting any of this wrong, I'm sorry, but she doesn't have any parents. She has an older sister, and that sister is murdered at the beginning of the movie. And that's like what kind of kicks everything off, like the whole storyline of the movie. So she, again, is this girl on her own. I think she goes and lives with nuns at one point in the movie. That's the school from Poison Ivy. That's the set. I mean, the location that's used. It's for these
the
nuns.
convent.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I think she kind of makes like was it Chris Christopherson who plays the cop?
Ooh, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. He becomes like a parental figure for her at the end. But yeah, she's just, again, left on her own with no one.
Mm-hmm. So the theme continues. Doppelganger.
Oh, boy.
The dad is dead.
Yeah, I think they even think like the brother might have murdered. The details on that are, even when you watch it at the end, you're like, what happened? But I think maybe even somebody killed the dad.
And yes, in the film, Doppelganger, because there's an evil version, someone who looks like Drew kills the character's mom at the beginning. Played by Jade, Drew's actual mom. But it ends up being that's the evil version of Drew that has killed.
But without doing spoilers, is it? It might not be. Still murky on that, the answers there.
I think it's so strange that Drew murders her mom in a movie.
Fully stabs her bloody, Drew and Jade, like if that didn't get out some deep-seated feelings.
Why aren't those pictures used in like any of the articles where she talks about her mom dying?
People probably don't even realize.
Oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. Let's give people ideas. No, we're too good of a source for those idiots to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now Bad Girls.
It's really implied these 4 women are all totally on their own, right? Like they don't have a support system.
Like that's their family is the women at the brothel.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's a couple in a row where she's kind of making her own family with friends, which is, again, totally what Drew has done. Thankfully, saved her. Boys on the Side totally fits that exact same mold.
Yep.
There's not really a backstory given, but Holly is like on her own with this abusive drug dealing boyfriend. No family is ever spoken of. She creates her own with Whoopi Goldberg and Mary Louise Parker's characters. And then later Matthew McConaughey's character, and they raise her baby together. But there's definitely no parents involved in Holly's story here.
Yep. And it continues.
It's crazy.
It is. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not. You know, like it kind of makes sense why some of these characters have these sides that we're so fascinated with.
Yeah. I mean, with Bad Girls and Boys on the Side, like they're both really strong characters that like really, especially by the end, they've really like become independent and these incredible women and no thanks to parents.
So I like your example of using Mad Love because it's about a dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
You know, a very dysfunctional one. Like her mom seems lovely and really cares about her, but it's inferred that her dad is abusive. Something that's really a lot clearer in the script. And I'm glad you made that note because I feel like, did we talk about some of those things in the episode? I'm sure we probably did.
Yeah, we definitely did. From what I recall, like there's a scene where he slaps her in the shooting script, and I'm so glad they cut that out because we don't need that. But yeah, the dad sucks in that movie. So Casey, I think, probably feels pretty much like she's got to take care of herself, right? That's why she goes off with her new boyfriend and breaks out of her mental institution.
Yep. Love that movie.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Now The Wedding Singer. So dad is just not in the picture. They don't really, the mom is there but she has these, like you said, misguided hopes and advice for her daughter. So she really wants Julia to marry Glenn because with Glenn you'll have security. I think I'm mixing up two different quotes right there.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
But yeah, lack of a father figure that we see.
And a mom who's just like, go get married to this piece of shit, but he's rich and he'll take care of you. It's like, no. And then, of course, this is one of the best examples, Ever After. I mean, anybody knows the Cinderella story. The mom dies when she's probably a baby. The dad dies right in the beginning of the story. And the stepmom who, quote unquote, raises her absolutely hates her, makes her be a servant. And she has, again, just her own personal strength to get through this.
And that story, literally the origin story of that character, is all about her building her own strength. You know, like also utilizing at least that she had her father for some point in her life, I think was really formative. But
right. But then him dying is like so traumatic.
Yeah, it's hugely formative to everything that happens to her after that. So let's just see this example that will just probably be slightly heart-wrenching.
I have done everything you've ever asked me to do, and still you've denied me the only thing I ever wanted.
What was that?
What do you think? You are the only mother I have ever known. Was there a time, even in its smallest measurement, that you loved me at all?
How can anyone love a pebble in their shoe?
Why did I've seen that so many times and it gets me every time.
In the scene, it's so heavy because it's like Drew's character is being vulnerable to this woman, and that the vulnerability only makes the stepmother more evil.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty sure Andy Tennant even spoke specifically to that scene, like knowing as they did it, he could see that Drew was pulling her real life, like parent issues. And it's right there in her face. You guys can't see it, but you know what we're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, so stepmom just despises her, sells her off, is constantly rude to her.
I mean, there's that one scene where she's brushing the stepmother's hair, and the stepmom almost like lets her guard down and almost is a little bit kind.
Yeah.
And then immediately is like, no, well, you look like a man.
Yes. Your features are so masculine or something, like some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, and you're built for hard labor. Like, and it's just like, they almost could have had a relationship, but she just had to be evil. Sorry.
She had to. It's just, evil stuff.
So the final example, and the reason I kind of ended it here was because at this point, Drew's characters are almost old enough that we don't even really
think about the parentlessness.
Yeah, it doesn't really come into play. And also she kind of started doing different types of films. But Charlie's Angels, another perfect example, which is funny because this would have been after Chris Connelly made his list.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this perfect one comes immediately after.
Such a good point.
Dylan's mom is dead. She's never met her dad. And she's created her own family with the Angels.
What about you? Did you ever have parents? I mean, I know you have parents, but I mean, where's your mom?
My mom died when I was 6, and I never met my father.
You never met your father?
No.
Now you work for a man you've never seen.
Good observation, Knox.
Yeah, thanks, Knox. Okay, so that's our last example because, like you said, once it comes to that point.
Yeah, I mean, there are other ones like 51st Dates. Her mom has died, but her dad's great. So, like, it doesn't really track as, like, being formed without parents in quite the same way.
Yes.
I'm sure there's other examples that I'm not thinking of. Like Grey Gardens, pretty dysfunctional, weird relationship there, but that's a whole nother story.
We could almost have a whole different title of just like dysfunctional family films for the adult fictional character.
Yeah, because these are kind of, again, like the younger, kid, teen, young adult, and then now she's aged out.
We still care about what happens to you as an adult fictional character, Drew. It's just that we're especially curious about how you navigated the child.
I know.
The child who, I don't even want to say needs parents, just a child who would have been seeking guidance.
Yeah, she did definitely need guidance from somebody. Steven Spielberg stepped in for a sec, but he dipped out for a sec too.
There are a lot of people that stepped in for a sec. She had a lot of people looking out for her. And I think
David Crosby.
Drew as a person did thankfully have a lot of people looking out for her. A lot of times it was her looking out for herself, though.
Most of the time. Yep. And that's how we have this incredibly strong woman that we all admire, is because of her journey, sad as it is. So thanks, Chris Connelly, for putting that idea out there, blowing Drew's mind, making me always want a list. I'm sure I made a list when I first saw that in 1999 and was also like, wow, he's right.
Is Chris Connelly still out there doing stuff?
He's currently working at ESPN. I'm kind of surprised to go from MTV, where it was no sports in really at all, to that. That's interesting.
All right. So he joined ESPN in 2001. So he's been doing other journalism, but I was just thinking it'd be cool to tag him.
Yeah.
Thanks for the idea, Chris Connelly.
Oh, for sure. We for sure will. Oh my God. What if he reached out? That'd be cool. How cool would that be to be him, to have come up with this interesting observation in 1999? Podcasts isn't even a thing.
And then somebody 25 years later.
Yeah, how cool. Thanks,
this
Chris.
Drew specific podcast. And it's also we loved that whole segment that they did.
Yeah,
so it's
he did such a great job with it. So Chris, come on the show and tell us about making that MTV movie special in 1999.
Yes. Yes.
Yay. Thanks, you guys. I hope you guys like this topic. I thought it was a fun, outside the box thing to do.
Yeah.
I love the topics that we do that sort of overarch a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Like list a bunch of things rather than like, let's hone in on this one tiny thing, which we do.
It's a really different way to do research. It makes sense that you're like, how can I make some observation that's broad, that requires like all of this levels of knowledge. Knowledge. But yeah, I think this is awesome. Thank you for coming up with it. Thank you, Chris Connelly, for the idea. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thanks, you guys. Go give us a review or a rating wherever you're listening to us. I think Spotify, you can do stars, and Apple Podcasts, you can do a little review as well. And if you leave one, we'll read it on the show.
Yes.
And then follow us on Instagram at How Do You Drew Pod, also at Drewseum for other Drew things. Lots and lots of content that we put out there for you guys.
Mm-hmm. And while you're on the internet, visit our website at howdoyoudrew.com, hosted on our OG, thedrewseum.com. Sign up for our Patreon.
Patreon.com/howdoyoudrew.
Can I just put you on the spot and ask if you're going to put the extra bloopsy daisies or bloopers from year 2 on the Patreon?
At some point, yes. We will be doing some bonus stuff with our bloopsies for the Patreon.
Yeah, it's not just the Little Girl Lost episodes, which are the highlight and the best part, but we're also trying to put like pictures from our digital archives up there. We're trying to share as much as we can so that you guys are getting even more enjoyment out of this weird hobby of ours.
Yes. And please join us over there. We got stuff here, but we got stuff there, the extras. Don't forget to send listener mail to us everywhere or at howdoyoudrewpod@gmail.com. My question to take us out for today. What's your favorite type of candy?
Food. Got to be about food.
I've probably asked this before, but I feel like it's weird that I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't really have a lot anymore. I felt like in recent years, I don't know if I'm getting like old or if candy production has changed, but like when Mila gets Halloween candy, I'm like, ooh, Twix. I love Twix. And then I have it. I'm like, this isn't like as enjoyable as I thought. I honestly just like a nice piece of dark chocolate. Like, wow, I'm really sounding old.
No, but that for me, it's about the dark chocolate. I think there is something like I like super sweet stuff, but when I eat stuff I loved as a kid, it seems too sweet now. And I don't think it's candy production. I think it's our taste buds.
Okay, or both. It could be both.
Oh my God, I'll happily eat a bar of like salted dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, like browned toffee butter dark chocolate bar. Anyway.
That's a fun sentence.
browned butter. Okay, everybody, thank you for listening. And I guess we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This episode of the How Do You Drew podcast was researched and produced by Ashley and Ann from thedrewseum.com with help from our sponsor, Positive Medium.
Special thanks to Matt Costa for our lovely theme song, Roxy Prima for our adorable logo, and last but not least, Drew Barrymore and all the Drewbies who love her. We do this for you.
Thank you.